All right. Welcome back, everyone. Ready to unlock some serious leadership
And
potential.
always ready.
Awesome. So we got a great request to deep dive into Sansete today.
Yeah, this is a really fascinating piece.
Tons of great stuff in there, really focused on practical strategies we can all use, right?
Mm,
And based on your notes, I know you're looking for some real tangible takeaways.
absolutely, yeah.
Perfect. So let's break it down. Self-awareness, essential skills, building those relationships, continuous learning, and leading with real purpose.
Sounds like a plan.
All right. So Sanitedani kicks off talking about self-awareness, which, you know, it's kind of a buzzword these days, but
Yeah.
it's the foundation for pretty much everything, right?
It really is. You can't lead others effectively if you don't understand yourself first, right?
Exactly. And one thing that jumped out at me was this mention of personality assessments.
Oh, yeah. Those can be pretty insightful.
And I know you mentioned in your notes you've been kind of curious about that Myers-Briggs thing.
Right. The Myers-Briggs type indicator, I've heard a lot about it, but never really dug in.
Me neither. But Saino Dong really highlights how understanding your personality type can help you figure out your strengths and weaknesses,
Hmm.
even how you best communicate and make decisions.
That makes sense. Knowing those things can definitely make you a more effective leader.
It's like having a cheat sheet. No, not exactly a cheat sheet, but you know what I mean.
I do. I do. It's about playing to your strengths. And the source makes a good point about not just focusing on labels, not getting caught up in being a certain type.
Right, right. It's about understanding yourself better.
Exactly.
Okay, so then Saichong takes it a step further, right? Talking about personal values.
Yeah, and I think this is so crucial for authentic leadership.
So how do we actually connect our values to leadership? Like, what does that look like in practice?
Well, think about it this way. Your values are your guiding principles, right? So when you're faced with a tough decision, they can help you stay on course, make choices that align with who you are at your core.
So if one of my core values is, say, honesty, then I'm always going to strive to be truthful with my team, even when it's hard.
Exactly. And that builds trust, which is essential for any leader.
Okay, so personality types, values, how else can we boost self-awareness? Because Sang Jiang also brings up mindfulness practices.
Yeah, that's another really valuable tool.
I'll be honest, when I hear mindfulness, I kind of zone out. It feels a little too, out there for me sometimes.
I get that, but it doesn't have to be this big, complicated thing.
Okay, good. Because I need simple.
Right. Even just taking a few minutes each day to be present, to pay attention to your breath, to notice your thoughts and feelings without judgment.
You mean like meditating?
Yeah, or journaling, or even just taking a mindful walk in nature.
Okay, that I can do.
Exactly. And the key here is that these practices help you become more aware of your reactions, your triggers.
Oh, so if I know that I tend to get stressed and snappy when deadlines loom,
Right. Then you can start to develop strategies for managing that stress in a healthier way.
so I don't end up yelling at my team.
Exactly. Self-awareness helps you become a more emotionally intelligent leader.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
Okay, so we've got a solid foundation of self-awareness. Now, Silsasan A dives into essential leadership skills.
Hmm.
And no surprise, communication is right at the top of the list.
Absolutely. Communication is the key.
And I'm thinking back to what you said in your notes. You want to feel more confident leading collaborative meetings, right?
Yeah, meetings can be tough. Getting everyone on the same page, making sure everyone feels heard.
Seriously. So any tips from Sansaye that we can put into practice right away?
Well, the source actually introduces this model called the ladder of inference.
Okay, the ladder of inference. Tell me more.
So, have you ever been in a meeting where, like, someone says something and you instantly jump to a conclusion about what they mean?
Oh, all the time.
And then, like, you react based on that assumption, which might be totally wrong.
Oof, yes. It's like we're all playing this game of telephone, and the message gets more distorted with every retelling.
Exactly. And the ladder of inference basically gives us a way to slow down that process.
Okay, love that. Slow down, avoid jumping to conclusions. How do we do that?
By asking ourselves some key questions, like what data do I actually have to support my conclusion? What assumptions am I making? How might other people be interpreting this information differently?
So instead of just reacting to what I think someone means, I should pause and try to get more clarity.
Exactly. And the source emphasizes that clear communication is about sharing your thinking process, not just your conclusions.
That makes so much sense,
Yeah.
and it's something I can definitely work on.
Hmm.
So communication is key. Got it. But Salwine Oyan also talks about articulating a vision, right? What does that even mean?
It's about going beyond just setting goals. It's about painting a picture of the future that is so compelling, so inspiring, that people want to be a part of it.
So less about spreadsheets and deadlines, more about, inspiring people.
Right. Think about leaders who have really made a mark. People like, I don't know, Martin Luther King Jr. or Steve Jobs.
They had a vision, something they truly believed in, and they were able to communicate that passion to others.
Absolutely. And the source connects this back to emotional intelligence, which is another crucial skill.
Oh, right. We were talking about that earlier with self-awareness.
Exactly. So emotional intelligence is about understanding and managing your own emotions, but it's also about being aware of the emotions of those around you.
So like being empathetic.
Yes. Being able to put yourself in someone else's shoes, to see things from their perspective.
And why is that so important for leaders?
Well, think about it. When you're leading a team, you're going to encounter all kinds of emotions: excitement, frustration, stress, you name it.
Okay, yeah. That's the reality of working with people.
And if you can understand and respond to those emotions effectively, you can build stronger relationships, navigate conflict more constructively, and create a more positive and productive work environment.
Got it. So we've talked about self-awareness, communication skills, emotional intelligence, all pretty crucial stuff. But Shubchan Oljhan also emphasizes building strong relationships. It seems like those first skills we talked about are kind of the foundation for that.
Definitely. You can't have strong relationships without effective communication, without empathy and understanding.
Right. It all goes back to that self-awareness piece, doesn't it?
It really does. But building strong relationships also requires a conscious effort to create an environment of trust and respect.
And that goes beyond just like being nice to people.
Oh, absolutely. It's about actively listening to your team, valuing their input, recognizing their contributions, and celebrating their successes.
It's about creating a space where people feel safe to speak up, to share ideas, even to disagree, without fear of judgment or reprisal.
Exactly. And the source actually talks about the power of vulnerability in leadership.
Wait, vulnerability. I thought leaders were supposed to be, strong and confident, always have all the answers.
That's a common misconception. But actually, when leaders show vulnerability, it makes them more relatable, more human.
You mean like admitting when you don't know something or asking for help?
Exactly. And that can actually build trust and encourage others to do the same, to be more open and authentic.
So how do we put this into practice? Like, where do we even start with building these kinds of relationships?
Well, Asuri's actually talks about mentorship.
Ah, mentorship. I've had some amazing mentors in my career, people who really helped me grow and develop.
Me too. And mentorship doesn't have to be this super formal thing.
Yeah, sometimes it's just about connecting with someone who has more experience, someone you can bounce ideas off of or ask for advice.
Right. And even if you're early in your career, you can be a mentor to someone else, someone who's just starting out.
That's a good point.
Yeah.
Everyone has something to offer. And Arkoshandra also mentions networking.
Yes. Networking is so important for building relationships, both within your organization and beyond.
So like going to industry events,
Yeah.
joining professional organizations, connecting with people on LinkedIn.
Exactly. It's about getting out there, meeting new people, expanding your horizons.
And all of this ties into this idea of continuous learning, which Chantrane emphasizes as well.
Right. It's about always striving to learn and grow, to stay curious, to challenge yourself, to never stop developing as a leader.
So what does that actually look like day to day? Because it's easy to get caught up in the daily grind and forget about learning.
Well, the source mentions the concept of a growth mindset.
Ah, growth mindset. I've heard a lot about that.
It's about embracing challenges, seeing setbacks as opportunities for learning, and believing that you can always improve.
So like, instead of getting discouraged when I make a mistake,
You see it as a chance to learn and do better next time.
I like that. And the source also talks about actively seeking feedback, which to be honest can be a little scary
I know, it can be, but it's so valuable.
because it helps us see our blind spots,
Yeah.
right? The things we might not be aware of on our own.
Exactly. And the key is to reframe feedback as a gift, not as criticism.
So like someone's giving you information that can help you grow.
Exactly. And the more open we are to feedback, the more we can learn and develop as leaders.
Okay, so we've talked about self-awareness, essential skills, strong relationships, continuous learning. It's a lot to take in. But we're not done yet. Sikeo Dong wraps up with leading with integrity and purpose.
Yeah, this is where it all comes together.
So the source talks about finding your leadership style,
Right. There's no one-size-fits-all approach to leadership.
So it's about figuring out what works best for you, for your team, for the specific situation you're in.
Exactly. And the source highlights that your leadership style should be authentic, something that aligns with your values and your personality.
Makes sense. But what about leading with integrity? What does that even mean?
It's about walking the talk,
Yeah.
about being the same person in private that you are in public.
So like not just saying the right things, but actually living your values every day.
Exactly. It's about making ethical decisions even when it's hard. It's about being honest and transparent even when it's uncomfortable.
And I imagine it's about being accountable for your actions, owning up to your mistakes.
Absolutely. And, when you lead with integrity, you inspire trust and respect from your team.
They know they can count on you to do the right thing, even when it's not the easy thing.
Exactly. And that kind of trust is essential for building a strong and successful team.
Okay, so we've covered a lot of ground today.
We have.
Self-awareness, essential skills, building those relationships, continuous learning, and leading with integrity and purpose.
It's been a really great discussion. And I think Shawnee D offers so many practical takeaways that we can all apply to our own leadership journeys.
It really does. And as you continue on that journey, I encourage you to think about how these principles can not only make you a better leader at work, but also a better person overall.
That's a great point. It's all connected, isn't it?
Absolutely. Well, that's all the time we have for today's deep dive. Thanks for joining us. And until next time, keep learning, keep growing, and keep leading with heart.
See you next time.